Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
I'm sick of this garbage. I don't care that it's only 4 games in. I don't care that there's 150 plus games to go. You get embarrassed again. 8-1, Brandon Marsh isn't ready to compete. You just got your asses kicked down in Texas. You get swept to start the season. You would think you put it behind you, you go to the Bronx, and you look like you're ready and prepared. You look like you're ready to win a damn baseball game. Pache's not in the lineup. That's important because Rob Thompson makes a statement by going lefty-lefty with some of your lineup. Derek Hall gets the nod, and Brandon Marsh gets a chance out in center field to do something. That wasn't the case Game 3 against the Rangers. So maybe that was Rob making sure everybody knows that Pache's nonsense is unacceptable. Yet instead, Brandon Marsh follows suit. The center field debacle, and then whatever the hell you want to call that third base mistake, running around. Rob Thompson saying it's full on Brandon Marsh's fault. Dusty Wathan had his hands up for a long period of time, but Brandon Marsh just had his head down, and he was running around base, stopped, he hesitated, he had the dancing happy feet, and then he got thrown out over at third base. What a joke. What a joke. So the game started off terrible. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. I actually think that was vomit that was ready to come out. Just thinking about the disgrace that is Phillies baseball 4 games in. Other than one 2-1 loss, they don't even look like a real baseball team. They look like a squad that's going to win, I don't know, 40 games? Taijuan Walker walking guys early. I thought after the first inning, it should have been 9-0 Yankees. You got lucky. Couple soft hit balls that they were able to put in play, which scored a couple runs. But because of the mistake by Marsh and a few guys getting on for free, that's what happens. I was kind of shocked that it was only 2-0. It felt like an inning that took 1 hour. Walker's throwing a billion pitches. And then as soon as Rob Thompson goes to the pen, I knew it was over because Marte just smells like a disaster every time the baseball's in his hands. I said it out loud. I watched the damn game by myself, and I said it to the world by myself in my basement, sitting there going, well, this is going to end horrifically. This is going to be a nightmare. And here I am watching the ball fly around. Oh, it's what? They're down how many points? Okay. They let up 8 already? All right. They need a touchdown to come back and tie it? Okay. I don't know how you get so beat down. You head to, let's be honest, such an iconic place to play against the Yankees. Not that it's the old Yankee Stadium, but you're heading to the Bronx. And you don't even show up. The only guy showing up right now is Alec Boehm. The dude is locked in. Trey Turner, too. Trey Turner's hitting like 389 or so. And I'll give a nod to Derek Hall because lefty, he pokes one into right field. But I'm sorry, it's hard for me right now to dive into some of the tiny details and some of the tiny things that a couple individuals are doing when everything is so sloppy. When they look disengaged. You made it to the World Series last year. You'd think you'd want to start the season with some sort of message. We're coming back for it. Third wild card my ass. I want to win the damn division. Instead, you're 0-4. Don't let anyone tell you you're not allowed to be angry. Don't let anyone tell you you're overreacting. And that's coming from me, who normally tries to settle some things down when there's a heavy overreaction. I'm not projecting that this is going to last forever. But for them to look like they don't even want to play the sport and for them to not be mentally prepared, that's allowed to irk you. 8-1, 16-3, losing a 5-0 lead with Aaron Nola on the mound. I'm supposed to be happy? I'm supposed to be entertained? I'm supposed to be relaxed? No! In fact, I'm demanding it to change as soon as possible. The problem is, we got Matt Strahm going. Now, the guys that you pay to be at the top of your rotation haven't really delivered yet. And so far, the only guy that was able to do a serviceable job was Bailey Falter. So by those standards, maybe Strahm gives us something. But what a mess that was. It's incredible. Rob's been sloppy. And Rob got handed a tough spot last year. I don't want to discredit what he did, but I do believe that it's different when it was so south with Joe Girardi and you get handed the keys. There's really no pressure. Joe Girardi had them in such a terrible position that just keep it loose. Be light. The players will reflect. They'll look themselves in the mirror, and they'll realize that what they were doing wasn't good enough. It costed somebody their job. And then the change happens. When you're the guy from the beginning of the season, what's Rob Thompson going to do? Bullpen decisions early, playing the long game with some of these guys. We're starting to see that. And so far, I think Rob Thompson has been asleep at the wheel. I'm not calling for his job. I'm not saying he's a bad manager. I like Rob Thompson. I'm saying through the 4 games, he doesn't get a free pass. Nobody does. The players have sucked, and I thought Rob Thompson has made some terrible decisions. Marte was never going to succeed. If we're looking at the percentages, it was a very, very, very small percentage that you would get out of that. And then what do you know? The lead for the Yankees start to stretch. Aaron Nola, when the score was 5-2 after a bases-loaded double. It was pretty obvious that something bad was going to happen. 3-run shot, now the game is tied 5-5. You can't keep him out there, especially the first start of the season. There's a bit of a free pass going for Walker. I think he'll be fine as he gets more starts under his belt. But the first inning left such a bad taste in my mouth by putting guys on base for free. And the team in totality, whether he didn't get the help defensively, whether some guys at the plate didn't look very good, whatever it is, collectively as a unit, it was so gross that Walker's hand in it in the first inning, even with some dribblers and some soft contact stuff. I look at the scoreboard, I see how bad it is, and I can't stand where we're at. Can't stand it. Can't stand it. So I just want to make it clear that if you have outrage, and if you're letting the world know that you love the Phillies, and starting out 0-4 will piss you off, good. Stand by that. I think it would be foolish to go, who cares? Doesn't really bother me. I can't start reacting until June, July. I can't start reacting until the standings kind of form, until we know about each team, until we get a sense of how other teams are, and you know, kind of when teams become teams. I need more. It's sort of like when you watch the NBA in October, in November. There's a lot of basketball fans that say, it doesn't matter to me about Game 12. Let's get to the All-Star break. Let's get to after Christmas, really. The All-Star break's a little bit longer in there, but Christmas Day is normally when basketball fans give the nod. Well, right now with baseball, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's the general rule, but I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'd be lying to you. I'd be giving you a disservice. I can't do it. We'll go to the phones in one moment. Now, this has zero relevance to baseball, but it does at the same time. I just want to let you know how angry I am. I haven't watched wrestling in about 15 years. 15 years or so. I'm talking the Rey Mysterio days, the Booker T days. Of course, John Cena's always been in the mix. You know that crew, early 2000s or so. I dabbled into WrestleMania this weekend. Not live when it was actually going on, but on replay on Peacock. I'm so engaged and I'm so dialed in that I was watching that on the big screen with the damn Phillies game on the second TV. But just the fact that I'm looking, it ruined it. It ruined my fun that I was having watching WrestleMania. All right, watching Lita and Trish and all the goats come out. All those women coming out out of the walking onto the into the damn ring. Hell in a Cell with Edge. I was loving every moment of it, but then I wasn't. Because this damn baseball team sucks. They suck right now. And I need them to turn it around because I can't take it. What are we going to do? 0-5? 0-6? How far is this going to go? Are you going to come back to South Philly 0-6? My toes are curling. I keep playing with my hands and squeezing my fists. Am I a little stunned on this aggravated? Yeah. A little bit. There's two things that means. I'm that stunned that they're playing this poorly early on, which I think is fair to say. Maybe I enjoy wrestling more than I thought I did. I don't know. Anyway. I'm going to listen to you. Oh, the last thing real quick, the lineup. I like the lineup. I like Rob Thompson saying, we're going to give you guys a shot to face some lefties, some of the lefty hitters. The only thing that happened late was Harrison was originally in at second base. Then they switched him. It was a late change. They put Stott in. I want to see Stott play all the time. I get it. Utility players are going to play and all, and Harrison or righty against the lefty and Nestor Cortez. But I want to see a Bryson Stott lefty-lefty matchup more. I don't think that's fair to say. Harrison was scratched with a mild right ankle sprain. He's day-to-day. So just keep that in mind for the future. Okay, let's do this. Here we go.
30 to 45 seconds, really? Okay, this is Gabe from West Philly. All right, I used the Lord's name in vain. I cursed, I broke stuff. Now it's time for me to, I done calmed down. I done had that good London pound cake. All we know right now is that the job is not finished. Dombrowski, Middleton, and obviously the Phillies players have to continue to dig in order to find gold. The job is not done.
I don't know what that means. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what that means. The job's not done. Yeah, there's a lot of baseball to be played. They will fight. They will battle. And at some point, they'll figure it out. I don't know, though, why it's as bad as it is. I think it's pretty clear. There's a target on your back. You went to the World Series representing the National League. You're not ready to go? You're so out of touch? You're getting abused? You look like you should be playing Double-A baseball? Your manager's making awful decisions? Marte was never going to work. It was a waste of a move. It was the most obvious disappointment I've ever seen. I was prepared to be disappointed. It somehow even reached a higher level of disappointment. Do you know how hard that is? When you go into an outing realizing that this guy is going to suck, this guy is going to get crushed, this guy is going to throw pitches that will get murdered, there's not much more that can happen. And somehow it happened. But I could have saw it a mile away. And trust me, I'm not the guy to yell at the manager every second. I don't do it. But it's staring at you right in the face, Rob. I hated it. I didn't like yesterday's lineup fully. And then I didn't like this move. To a little minor degree, it almost felt like it was a wave the flag type of move when you're in the game. But maybe it goes back to Brandon Marsh let the team down. To his credit, he did take all the responsibility, put the blame on himself, and said it was my fault. Fine. But I need you to do more then. He did okay getting a few hits, but that doesn't weigh out how bad the tone was set. So I need something from him to not just say the words, you have to act on it. There's a second step. He acknowledged it. Step one. Not that you could run away from something so blatant. But step two is we need you to do something crucial in this series. Tomorrow.
I got one thing to say after that monstrosity of a game I just watched. Marte, the relieving pitcher, get ready to learn Japanese, buddy. You're done. You are done, buddy. That was pathetic. He was awful. Awful. Another game of the Philadelphia Phillies out-hitting the team they're losing to. The hits need to be, there's better execution. All right, the only person I can think of who is hitting, who is doing what he's supposed to do at the plate is Alec Bohm. So the situational hitting that he had, it's exceptional. All right, huge next two games coming up. I refrain my statement there because I don't think they're these life-changing games, but I think we should really make a statement before we come back to Philadelphia, especially with Nola on the mound on Wednesday.
I can't think about Wednesday until we get through Tuesday and see what that's like. Tell him you think Marte's going to the Japanese League. He went 1 1/3, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, and 3 walk batters. And I believe I saw a stat here from Corey Seidman about how bad it's been. 4 games into the season, the Phillies have already had 4 different relief outings where the pitcher allowed 3+ runs without recording more than 1 out. Do you know how hard that is? Also, you left out Trey Turner. Bohm has been phenomenal. Trey Turner has done his job too. Schwarber, I'll play the long game with him just because from an individual level, I know he'll be fine. I see some people reaching out to me saying we got to change the lineup and Schwarber's killing them and move him down and all this. I'm not kind of knee-jerk reaction on the lineup here. I like Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber and JT, and I like what's going on there. Boom's been solid. I really don't have any issues with the top of the order, the top 5 guys, 6 guys. Could you do a couple things here and there, as games play out? Sure. But there's just a bigger issue right now, and it seems to be more about the engagement than anything else. For some reason, it seems they're not ready to play. That's different than having a game where you go 0 for 3 or 0 for 4. That stuff happens. From the first pitch, they don't look ready as a team. Meh. Leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I was asked on the best show ever today about the the 6 games to start the season on the road. And at what point would you feel there's a serious issue very early in the season? And my answer to that was 0-6. I claimed that 1-5 means you got swept in Texas, you won 1 game in New York, and for some reason that 1 win would make me feel, okay, look, the first series was something that we can move past. You went 1-2 in a 3-game series on the road against the Yankees. You can convince yourself that you're coming home, your fans are going to be behind you, you turn the page, you have a chance to win some games in South Philly, and from there you can kind of right the ship a little bit. While I'm not running away from that thought as a whole, let's say one of those wins, or one of the next 2 games is a win, but the other one is a loss where you lose 8-1. You lose 7-1. You lose just as badly as you did the last few games that I just brought up. I don't know if 1-5, not that that's very good, but 1-5, that 1 win that I thought I would hold on to try and make it feel convincing that they can right the ship, I don't know if I necessarily can hold on to it as strongly as I thought I did prior to seeing tonight's game. If any of that made sense. I don't know if I did a great job of explaining my thoughts in that little dialogue, but that's how I feel. Anyway, I would love more power coming from this team too, but I think there's players where their track records speak for themselves. It'll come. Trey Turner will hit home runs. Kyle Schwarber will hit home runs. Bohm and Castellanos, that's still a question, but Bohm's doing enough right now. And I even think Castellanos has done a fine job. They're the least of my worries. Some of the pitching needs to wake up. And then Brandon Marsh. Can't do what Brandon Marsh did. Pache. Can't do what Pache did. Keep in mind, and this is an organizational thing, they traded Logan O'Hoppe, and we're fully aware that he's a catcher, and you have JT Realmuto, but just hear me out on the idea and the belief of what we're seeing right now in center field. So they move on from Logan O'Hoppe, who in his first series ended up hitting 1 home run and having 6 RBI. You traded him for Brandon Marsh, and I think that's fine due to circumstances with where your franchise is right now with the catcher position. I have no problem with that. But you're telling me you move one of your best prospects, which you can maximize for leverage, for Brandon Marsh, and then you play Pache, a guy who was going to get cut by the Oakland Athletics, hitting 166 last season, over the guy that you ended up trading your best prospect for. It just doesn't add up to me. It's just weird. Granted, Brandon Marsh failed tonight. This was the first time I've seen him do this level of garbage. I don't anticipate this continuing. I'm just angry because, well, it's kind of snowballing and it has a domino effect on where they are right now. I'm going to love Brandon Marsh. I think he's an excellent defender, and I think his bat will be improved here compared to where it was prior to the trade. But I'm just trying to put the pieces all together that you have a player in Logan O'Hoppe who some teams valued as worthy. You make a move for Brandon Marsh. So you have this asset, you gain another asset, and what you traded was one of your best assets, and then you play a dude who barely makes the league instead of him because of a matchup with a right-handed batter, with a lefty starter in that final game against the Rangers. Pache's not it. He's not it. Brandon Marsh is it. He just sucked today. There's a difference. All right, back to the phones.
Unfortunate game. The start stunk with Marsh making that play. Fortunately, Walker did seem to settle in, but it's too late. Marte came in, it blew up. Bohm did look good, and hope he continues that. But really, man, this team needs to get on track because they keep losing. It's going to get worse and worse. And that's about it.
It's already worse than it was yesterday. And it was worse than the day before that. And it was worse than what we saw when Aaron Nola was on the mound. They had a 5-0 lead. Do I take another call? I'm aggravated. I'm tired. I DVR'd Monday Night Raw. I want to see what happened. Seriously, I haven't watched wrestling in 15 years. I don't know what has gotten into me, but I have this absurd, sick obsession over the last 3 days, and I can't stop thinking about it. It's freaking me out. We'll take one more. We'll wrap it up. Then I'll go watch Monday Night Raw.
This team has been hard to watch. Starting off the season 0-4 with 3 of the games being blowouts. I don't know if you would consider the first game a blowout, but we let up 9 runs in the first inning. We've been outscored 37 runs to 12. Like, it's been bad. I think Walker had a pretty solid start. It's a little bit shaky in the first inning, but he had 5 Ks. Splitter was looking really good. But the bullpen was terrible tonight. Marte was horrendous. I think Vasquez looked pretty good, and so did Dominguez. But this team needs to pull it together. Bohm had a really good night. He went 3 for 4, and so did Turner. But we really need to pick it up.
I hear sadness. I hear sadness. I hear sadness. I don't want to hear sadness. Go back and listen to something that I did at the end of November. Go back and listen to something that I did in October. Just not the Game 6 recap or even when they got no hit. Oh, man, all these memories are just not good right now. Not good, not good. Go back to maybe a game against the Braves when Bryce Harper did something cool. Go back and maybe watch something about the Padres where Bryce Harper did something cool. Go watch something where JT Real Mucho had an inside the park or in his home ballpark. And I remember being in the ballpark for that, and I had to sit down because my heart was racing 5,000 times a minute. I thought the world was ending. I thought the whole place was going to explode because of the eruption. I had to literally sit down and take some water because I couldn't handle it. Instead, right now, I'm doing the same thing, but instead of joy, it's pain. I'm sitting down trying to believe if this is real or not. I feel like I'm in a nightmare. 0-4, and you look like trash. What the hell is going on? Fix it, damn it. We'll talk again soon. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. What a joke.